The school auditorium buzzed with noise as parents and teachers settled into their seats for the yearly cultural event. Everyone was chatting, laughing, and finding their spots. On stage sat a large grand piano, shining under the lights. A woman stood beside it, clearly nervous. Her fingers hovered above the keys, unsure. She looked like someone who didn't belong up there. A teacher leaned in close and whispered, "Just try your best. No one's expecting it to be perfect." The woman nodded slowly, her eyes showing something hard to read like a memory trying to come back. Then, her hands lowered, and the first note rang out, smooth and sharp, like it came from someone trained for years. The room fell completely silent. Everyone stared. Who was she? A few minutes ago, she was just another quiet mom in the crowd. No one had expected this. But the moment she touched the keys, everything started to change. The audience sat frozen. The music coming from the stage wasn't just good, it was unbelievable. Heads turned, eyes widened, and whispers filled the air. Who is this woman? Just minutes earlier, Mira was sitting quietly in the crowd, like any other parent. She didn't stand out. She didn't speak much. No one gave her a second look. When they asked her to play, people smiled politely, thinking she'd stumble through something easy. But now, the notes pouring from the piano were fast, powerful, and perfect. Something wasn't adding up. Mira wasn't just playing, she was revealing a hidden part of herself. Mira was used to being invisible. She was a single mom raising her sweet, curious kindergartner. She wore plain clothes, spoke softly, and her hands were rough from long hours working at a bakery. To the teachers, she was just a quiet woman who always smiled but never said much. No one imagined she had a secret past. Years ago, Mira was known in concert halls across Europe. People once called her a musical genius, a true piano prodigy. But that life disappeared after tough choices, endless work, and raising a child alone. That part of her was buried deep. Until today. When the school's event planner clapped her hands and said they needed one more act, everyone looked around. The scheduled pianist had canceled. The teacher spotted Mira. "Didn't you say you know a little piano?" she asked kindly. Mira tried to say no, but they were already guiding her toward the stage, sheet music in hand. They handed Mira a sheet of music. Her heart dropped. It wasn't something easy. It was La Campanella, one of the hardest piano pieces in the world. Full of fast jumps, tricky rhythms, and flying fingers. The teachers smiled gently, thinking they were being kind. "Just try your best," one said. "Don't worry if you can't finish it." Their voices were sweet, but their eyes showed doubt. Mira's hands trembled. She hadn't touched a piano in years. This felt like a cruel joke. The audience shifted in their seats, clearly expecting her to fail. Mira sat at the piano, breathing deeply. The bright stage lights made her blink. She placed her fingers on the keys. At first, her hands moved slowly. But then something sparked. Her fingers began to flow across the keys with a speed that surprised even her. The teachers glanced at each other, eyebrows raised. This wasn't the messy playing they had expected. At first, Mira played carefully, unsure of herself. But then, something inside her woke up. Her fingers started moving faster, smoother, like they remembered what to do on their own. The music grew stronger, filling the room with power and grace. The crowd leaned in, completely silent now. Teachers stared, stunned. They weren't expecting this, not from the quiet mom who baked cupcakes for class parties. Whispers spread through the audience. "Who is she?" someone asked. One teacher's mouth dropped open. Another clutched her chest, shocked by Mira's perfect technique. Even the school principal leaned forward, eyes wide. "That's not just practice," he muttered. "That's real talent." Mira was lost in the music. Her nerves faded. It felt like years melted away, and she was that young girl on stage again, full of confidence. She wasn't just playing notes, she was telling a story with sound. The audience sat frozen, amazed. No one moved. No one spoke. And no one dared to look away. In that moment, Mira wasn't just a tired mom. She was a master. A hidden star finally shining again. Then it happened. Mira hit a wrong note. Just one, but it was loud and clear. Her hands froze for a second. Her heart sank. All the memories of being forgotten, all the doubts, rushed back in. "What am I doing?" she thought. The whispers in the audience started again. Some people leaned back in their seats, thinking maybe this was just luck. Maybe she was just an old mom trying to relive her past. The teachers exchanged glances, and their pity started to return. Mira's hands trembled over the keys. She stared at the piano, frozen in place. Her confidence faded fast. Maybe they were right, she thought. Maybe I don't belong here anymore. But then, through the silence, a small voice rang out from the crowd, strong and full of love. "You can do it, Mama." It was her daughter. Mira heard her daughter's voice, loud and clear. "You can do it, Mama." It was like a spark lit inside her. She looked at her little girl's face in the crowd, hopeful, proud, believing in her when no one else did. Mira took a deep breath. Her fingers found the keys again. This time, there was no fear, only fire. She started to play, faster and stronger than before. The notes danced under her fingers, flowing like a river that had been waiting to burst free. The piano wasn't just an instrument, now it was a part of her. Every sound told a story of pain, love, sacrifice, and strength. She wasn't trying to impress anyone anymore. She was playing for herself and for her daughter. The music filled the whole auditorium. The crowd leaned forward again, eyes wide. The doubt was gone. Mira was back. Not just back, she was brilliant. When the final note rang out, the room exploded in applause. People stood up, cheering. And no one clapped harder than her little girl in the front row, smiling with tears in her eyes. Mira had done more than just play. She had reminded everyone who she truly was. After the performance, the teachers rushed up to Mira. They stammered apologies, their faces flushed with embarrassment. "We had no idea," one said, her voice shaky. "You're amazing." The others nodded, too stunned to speak properly. Mira smiled softly, not to boast, but because she felt lighter than she had in years. "It's just a hobby," she replied, her voice calm but warm. She had nothing to prove anymore. The principal stepped forward, his face serious but filled with awe. "Mira, you're incredible. We'd love for you to teach a master class here," he said, his voice filled with respect. But Mira just shook her head, her heart full. "I'm not here for that," she replied. "I'm just a mom." As she walked off the stage with her daughter by her side, she knew she didn't need any more praise. The only thing that mattered now was that she had remembered who she was, and that was enough. As Mira and her daughter made their way out of the auditorium, the sound of applause still echoed in the hallway. Mira's heart was light, almost as if it was floating. She had done it. She had stepped back into the spotlight, not to prove anything, but to remember who she truly was. Her daughter, eyes shining with pride, skipped beside her. "Mama, you're magic," she whispered, the words full of wonder. Mira chuckled softly, ruffling her daughter's hair. It was funny, really. All those years of being invisible, of hiding behind a quiet life. Yet here she was, remembered for the woman she truly was. As they reached the door, the principal called after them. "Mira," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "We'd love to have you back, maybe teach a class on piano." Mira smiled but shook her head. "Thank you, but no," she said gently. "I'm happy just being here, right now." She walked out, her daughter's hand in hers, the world outside waiting, but for the first time in years, Mira knew exactly who she was. And that was more than enough. Mira and her daughter stepped out into the crisp evening air, the sounds of the crowd fading behind them. Her heart felt lighter than it had in years. As they walked, her daughter pulled her closer. "Mama," she said, a small smile playing on her lips, "I always knew you were magic." Mira's eyes softened, and she chuckled. "Magic? I'm just your mom," she replied, squeezing her daughter's hand. But deep inside, something had shifted. She'd been invisible for so long, just blending in, hidden behind the daily grind. Now, after all these years, she remembered the music, remembered the woman she used to be. And for the first time in a long while, she didn't need anyone else's approval. Mira glanced down at her daughter, who was beaming with pride. It was enough. This was her moment, and she wouldn't let anyone take that away. As Mira walked out of the auditorium, the world felt different. She wasn't just a mom anymore, a quiet woman with no voice of her own. The applause from the crowd still echoed in her mind, but it was her daughter's words that kept ringing in her heart. Mama, you're magic. It wasn't just about the music or the performance. It was about something deeper. For so many years, Mira had hidden herself away, too busy, too tired, too lost in the daily routines of life to remember who she was. But today, everything had changed. She had reminded herself of the woman she used to be. As she walked beside her daughter, she felt a sense of peace. She wasn't just a mother anymore, nor just a woman who had given up her dreams. She was both strong, capable, and unbreakable. And for the first time in years, Mira didn't feel invisible. She felt seen. No more hiding. No more pretending. Mira had found herself again, and that was enough.